Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
All right, then I'm just going to get there we go. All right, so we are here. We welcome all of those of you who are listening in and who will be hearing the recording. We are here with the most fascinating and prolific artist that I know, with an equally intriguing conversation about her and her inspirations and her amazing creations. I'm Sheila Cash, and I have with me Carole Franques. Carole is an artist, and she's an integrative practitioner of metaphysical sciences. She's passionate about creating tools that foster shifts in consciousness through self-awareness practices. Through her body of work, which includes art, decks of oracle cards, and compilations of card spreads, she aspires to enlighten humanity. Carole encourages her clients to get to know who they are, to become the best versions of themselves. These purposeful tools stimulate your potential growth through multi-sensorial experiences. And Carole supports her clients with private and group healing sessions as well. So welcome, Carole. I'm so thrilled to be here with you and to dive into conversation about your work.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to see you and connect with you.
And it really is. And I'm so looking forward to talking with you about this because I'm one of your biggest fans.
Right.
I have been watching and witnessing the creation and production of your many very avenues of art, and it's stunning. It actually is quite stunning what you do and how you do it and what you're offering. So I'm really looking forward to diving in with you.
Thank you, and I appreciate the support that you always show also. Thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. Well, I'd like to start with diving into talking about your decks, talking about the purpose of your decks. And if you would like to tell our listeners about the various decks that you have, maybe starting with the first one and moving along to the most recent deck that's been published, and give the names of the decks, maybe talk about the differences between them a little bit, and then we'll get a little bit more into the purposes of those.
Okay. So the first one was at the end of 2019. The I Am deck was the first published, and it's just really about an inner journey of empowerment. So it's full of affirmation, but also each image kind of dictated what it became, what it becomes. And then I just put an affirmation, a statement, and then I also have questions for you to delve deeper. So it's really to kind of like, I feel like it's kind of the foundation of the series of decks. And then the second one is once you get to know yourself a little bit more, then you have the working with colors, which is mostly working with the qualities and also the frequencies of the colors, because and creating that expansive field and expanding in your senses. Kind of, it's like, you know, you're sometimes we don't know what a certain quality is not familiar. So it's about creating that space that we become familiar with grace, for example, or with enlightenment, you know, whatever we want to, whatever the colors qualities bring you, then we want to embrace those frequencies. So that was the second one. And I was working, so the second one was published, I worked on it in 2021 and was published in 2022. And then I was working at the same time with the crystal deck because the crystals started showing up in my artwork. And this is also when I decided to collaborate with Rosemary Navarra, who has been incredible channel of information and she's kind of like the interpreter of my images. So it's been a very symbiotic relationship that we've had working together. So this is a very special deck because it both brought us to a level of consciousness that we were really not aware of at the time. So, and then we work so well with the crystal deck that this is the Embracing the Consciousness of My I Am Oracle. So this, we decided to work with each other on this one as well. So this is about expansion of consciousness and really getting to know and embrace your multidimensionality, your infinity. And this, so Embracing the Consciousness was just published in January. And then this one just came in June of 2023. And this is the I Am a Manifester. So this is kind of, you're swimming in the field of infinite potentiality. So really it's kind of like you go on a journey of, getting to know yourself, to getting to meet your potential and creating the reality that you want. But through that, you have the different pillars of work that we have to go through. So that's kind of like the soul journey for me. That's kind of sums up the work.
It sounds like, I mean, you're describing the journey that each person goes through, and I've been through your decks, and the images are absolutely stunning, but the oracle piece of it really completes the picture or the process. I'm curious because you just alluded a little bit to how your consciousness really grew and expanded from the very beginning. And can you talk a little bit more about that? Maybe starting with the first images that you developed, that you created, and what that felt like. And then maybe a few points along the way where you felt like, you really got that expansion, because I can see that evolution in the decks, as they come out. So talk to us a little bit more about what that felt like for you.
So the I Am deck came about after I took one of your programs about expanding consciousness. And a friend of mine mentioned the word fractal, and I just got so enamored by fractals that, because I was creating another deck a little bit more like mainstream, let's say. Mm-hmm. And once she mentioned that, it's kind of like the image. I started creating images, and each image started to speak to me. So the I Am Radiant is the catalyst to the I Am deck, and then from that, it's kind of like the images spoke to me as what they would become. One of them almost looked like the I'm no longer a victim card in the I Am deck is almost like the image of in the crime scene you have the chalk drawing. So that's what it's like. Okay, it can't be anything other than I'm no longer a victim. So each image spoke, and then it became what it is in the decks. And as I did also, then when in 2019, at the end of 2019, because the deck came in October. In November, I decided I was guided to move. So it's like I had 3 months to make everything happen. So I moved to Oregon, and then the pandemic hit. I moved like 3 days before the pandemic. So those 3 years were I call my new house, was like the sanctuary of creation, because I used that time to do a lot of trainings, expand my own healing. And from that just grew the decks. And it just really, as I evolved, the information and the decks evolved. And again, it's, with Rosie, we worked on the messages, but each of the message is really what was driven by the image. So I feel like they speak, they're alive, they have energy, they have consciousness, they have it's just an incredible, and then I never know, a lot of times I never know what's going to show up. So I'm always in awe and surprise.
Yeah, so I mean, and so this is one of the most fascinating aspects of your work, is that you have the inspiration, you are compelled to begin working with the image itself. The images, by the way, to the listeners, are very interdimensional, very, very three-dimensional, and have so much depth. You know, it's far more the work. If you have never seen Carole's work, you absolutely must, and do stay tuned, because we are going to share the screen and show you many images. So you have the inspiration, you began creating the images, and then you're co-creating with the universe still within the image, because I know that those images morph, and they kind of, they continue to morph and morph and morph, from the beginning until the final image. How do you know when the image is finished?
It's a feeling. I'm clairsentient, so I guess it's hard to explain, but it becomes like a palpable. Like I was asked to help create a deck for someone in December of 2022, and she provided the words. So I usually work the other way around, is I create the image and then the message comes afterwards. So I had a little bit more, it was a little bit more challenging for me, because now I was trying to match the image, the words with the image. The image had to be perfect. So some of the images, to match what I felt was the perfect match, or the perfect resonance to the words that I wanted to give. It took me maybe 50 designs of before I get that one image. So it just speaks to me as, okay, this is the one. I can see it. I can, and what's beautiful about this is that every time you see it, you see something different. You're not looking at it from the same perspective that you did the first time that you see it. So it's always, like you said, it's morphing, but it also morphs as you evolve. And as what you need today, this is what you're going to see. Because I see a lot of beings also within the fractal, the patterns and everything else. There's so much in there,
And it's so true. And I'm glad you brought up the beings, because I experience those as well. It's quite just a special experience to be really immersed in the image, in consciousness. And then and I don't know if these will come through on the screen share or not, but again, to speak to the listeners, there are beings of different, some of them may look like fairies, or some may look like human silhouettes, or they could be sort of guides, and different kinds of images. Do you remember the first time one of the beings appeared?
So I have there's this particular image that just comes to me, and it's like almost like a superhero. It has like a cape and it has a belt on, or I have like a samurai that shows up. So sometimes it's really interesting, because like in the consciousness deck, the card guided nudges is based on I was watching a Native American documentary, and there was a lot of chanting, and I was playing with my art at the same time I was watching, and I felt like an elder showed up in the design. So that or after a meditation, I have an image that I'm going to share on the screen where I'm doing a meditation and I'm having this visual, and the next thing I know is an angel shows up in the design. So it's just very fascinating because it's like I feel like in my zone, or I'm like in my trance kind of space, and sometimes I have to put intention because I want to create something. So I'm also going to share like I wanted a frog, so I have this really funny frog that came up for the animal deck that we're going to be later doing. So it's really funny to see all of what shows up, and depending on if I'm putting an intention or if I'm just letting the flow come, and then whoever wants to show. So I'm always surprised. I'm always smiling. I'm always, it's just fun. It's fun.
Like who are you going to meet today?
Exactly. And then I share with Rosie the images, because a lot of times I'm creating, so I could be creating 100 design at the same time, and it's just, I'm just manipulating parts of the fractal and this and that, and then I get to see it again when I do the show and tell with Rosie, because so I appreciate them in a different light, because I didn't really necessarily pay attention to the details. And then having the ability to also blow it up on the screen, you see so much more to it as well. So
interesting. And if you were to, you brought up the image of a frog. If you were to want to create an image of a frog through fractal, that would be kind of difficult, wouldn't it, if you were actually trying to create? So it's not something that, I'm trying to bring out the point that it really isn't intentional, that these images of the samurai or the elder, they really do just, they show up.
yeah.
You couldn't make it happen if you wanted to. I don't think. I mean, I don't.
Right.
I'm really asking you, but
no, everything is pretty much by accident. That's kind of what happens. Is everything is kind of by accident. Or serendipity is the best word, of course.
And you talked about colors when, with the color deck, and I just want to speak to the frequency of colors for a minute. Would you say that people are drawn to certain colors for a reason?
I think so. I mean, it depends. We know that colors really affect your moods and everything else. So when you call for a certain, maybe you need the blue to calm your nerves or whatever it is. So, but paying attention to everything, all these steps really makes a difference in. I started connecting in my previous work. I was wearing black and white, and I was in chef coats and everything else. And next thing I know is I wanted to move from always wearing black and everything else to incorporating color. So I started incorporating the chakras colors in my wardrobe. So it's like my whole wardrobe changed. And then every day I would wear the color that matches the chakra. And then I felt like I was building a connection with that. And then it becomes a frequency, but it also becomes an awareness. It's part of my awareness that I'm creating that frequency intentionally.
Right. And then do you feel like that the colors, I mean, somehow the colors match the oracle and match the messages, so that the color plays a part in that as well, right?
Well, I use to create the message. I wanted to create that expansiveness, that ability to really expand ourselves by connecting to the grace, to the qualities of each of the colors. So that the message became based on the qualities that the color provides. And then in the instruction, I give you different ways of working with the colors. Just incorporating, even just charging your water with colors can make a difference. So it's just building that awareness that we can shift with the frequency, and raise our vibration, just kind of like the work you do in that.
And then these images eventually began to create themselves within your consciousness, even while you were sleeping, right?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yes, sometimes. So after, like I have a few examples, but the one that really struck me really hard, profoundly, was after, during the day, I had a conversation with someone, and they had lost a loved one. And I was awakened at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had the urge of going and I had to go create an image. And in that, the image reflects kind of like a bridge of crossing the bridge. And it was a very peaceful image. So I felt like that spirit that loved of the loved one was really at peace where she was. So, if you can bring that, some people give messages in terms of the words. I was able to deliver an image that resonates the spirit's essence, I guess, or the that of they're okay where they are, so it can be comforting.
And I absolutely love what you call your art, which is a term that you coined called Ensoulistry. So how did that come to you? How did you create that word?
So thank you for Rosemary. Also, we decided to kind of play around with what we felt the images represent to us, and that's how Ensoulistry. So it's Ensoul, and then artistry. So we kind of put it together, but I feel like if with each of the images, or when I'm working and tapping into the energy of someone, I'm capturing the essence of that person, or the energetic resonance of that person, and it becomes a palpable energy, which then becomes a visual. So it's a very interesting process. So that's kind of how the crystal taught us, is that, they're ancient beings, but they have a consciousness, they have a voice. And that's why I decided to put as, I'm voicing the message of, because I was giving them that voice. And interesting enough is I was looking for my own voice at the time. So it felt like they were helping me in my process as well. So in my own healing. So.
And it almost sounds like you're describing a process of channeling. Do you feel that this is a channeling? And can you feel that when you're in the midst of creation?
Definitely. And especially with the messages, because a lot of time when we went back after Rosie and I, we worked on a few cards throughout the week, and then we put it aside, and then we go back, and then we reread the messages to see what we have no recollection. A lot of times we had no recollection of the information that we wrote, and it was like, did we write this? We're kind of like. It's just such there's such profound and sometimes so powerful messages that we're like, oh, okay, this is us. Channel. We're not. I mean, we're just the conduit, right? So it's kind of like.
which is amazing, and such an amazing process. Well, why don't you screen share and show our listeners some of the images, and some of the decks, and
Yeah.
There we go. And Carole, I want to say, also puts the images onto altar cloths and tumbler, sort of, coffee tumblers, drink tumblers, and in other ways too. And I believe, Carole, don't you do commission work?
Yeah, so I really so I can help others create their own decks, and I do the imagery, and then they provide the words, and then we make it happen if they want to create their own decks. So it's a beautiful way to bring messages to light.
And also prints for the wall.
Yeah, so I do also canvases and this and that, and then I can do commission work. So I do what I call a vibrational and soul essential, which is you get you own Ensoulistry of it's kind of like a visual representation of who you are. And then I also create a mist that goes with it to kind of capture the both of nature, the soul, and then the divine, and then the earth, blended together. So so this is some of the imagery of the decks, of the cards inside the decks. And then, like I said, the I Am Oracle is more of the self-discovery and expanding awareness. And then the working with color is kind of allowing yourself to experience new ways of being, of seeing, of experiencing. The crystals is more of receiving guidance and feeling supported. They encourage you to remember who you are. The embracing the consciousness is, really embracing your multidimensionality. Then with the manifestor deck is about your potentiality. So, this is some of the reasons why I want to use Oracle cards, because for me, they became as a daily support system when I needed them in time of crisis. And that's kind of what directed me to I feel like that's part of my soul calling, is to create those tools to help others move out of where they are. So, they help you with clarity and understanding. They help you nurture a relationship with yourself, which is really crucial to wanting to get to know where you want to be. So it's all about, for me, my own journey has been from being controlled to becoming free. And developing my own voice and meeting my potential. So I feel like I'm stepping into that of new states of consciousness and cultivating hope in the sense of it's just I don't know, I'm just in love with all the creation. So this is one of my favorite cards because it is, again, I was also, I had channeled around the same, right before I did the deck, I also channeled an entrepreneurial program, which is Unleash Your Hidden Possibilities. I was given the name, and that card needed to be there because it is all about unleashing your potential. And it's working with the subconscious. I just love this image. My picture skills are pretty good here.
Absolutely gorgeous. The one you just showed, I could actually really just be with that. It's so beautiful. You're a true artist at every level, in every sense of the word.
Thank you. This is what was most shocking to me, because I did the photo shoot afterwards, and once I received the deck of crystals, what was really stunning and kind of all jaw-dropping was that I started taking part of my collection of crystals and then my jewelry. And I took some photo shoot of the cards with the jewelry, and this is one of my pendant.
So that image came from that piece of jewelry?
No. I had nothing. I was just working on my computer, but it's when afterwards, when I got the crystal deck, I decided, hey, let me see, let me put those pieces together so I can do a photo shoot. And I was just in awe of the replica. It's like, oh, okay, so I did channel them.
I mean, I could wear that image right there as a brooch or a necklace or something in my, I don't know, somehow. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. And I want to say, out of all of your decks, and there's 63 cards in every deck.
Yes, except for the color. Color has 48 cards, but all the others, I was guided to do 63 and stay consistent with 63 cards. So,
and in all of those hundreds of images, there's not one that's even remotely like another.
right.
Every single image is completely unique, and whole in and of itself. I mean, it's just it's amazing. It's really profound, these images that you do.
And this one again, this one really spoke to me in the sense of the title came pretty quickly. It's just the messages took a little bit longer for us to develop from the images, but the it seemed like the title just, you know, they spoke very quickly of what they wanted to become. And I particularly really like this one because I feel like that expansiveness with those threads, it's kind of like, you know, you're opening your mind, and then there's all this fertility and there's all this vibrancy within once you open yourself, there's all that is attainable and it's touchable, and then it's, you know, you can reach to it, you can tap into all of that. So
there's movement, you know, you
yes.
see and feel the movement.
Mhm.
And it's again, you know, it's phenomenal that you can create so much movement in so much depth and dimension in a static image. It's quite amazing. What Rosemary has to say about this card within this field. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So this is just kind of an experience that Rosemary has with the card is, you know, with this field. It reminds her that she is the creatrix of her realities, and it just reminds her that she exists universally in a field of potentiality. So, and then she says on to say, within this field, I have the flexibility and capacity to transform and create the aspects of my realities. In asking the question, what am I to create now? I am reminded to create mindfully. It makes me think of that old adage where be careful what you wish for. Thoughts are energy. Energy is real. Therefore, thoughts are real. We need to mind our minds so the realities we create are not done thoughtlessly, but rather come from a place of mindful intentionality. So everything that we do, even in just the way that we create the decks, is very intentional. You know, from the most minute detail. It's if we didn't feel like we were up to working on the cards, we didn't, because we wanted to be in a higher state of vibration as well. So we were mindful of, we wanted the card to represent the highest vibration possible for the person who's going to be using the deck, you know.
That's what I call integrity. Thank you.
You. Yeah. This is another message for the consciousness deck, and what I love is her experience with the deck, with Lauren's experience, is that you talk about the artwork being jaw-dropping and transporting her outside of time. So we really feel like we want it's almost more important for us for you to connect with the images, because they become portals. They become your vehicle to your inner wisdom and to your inner seeking, and so, and then to have those, I feel that once you experience it sensorily, or like, you know, giving multi-sensorial experiences, once you experience that, you can't deny it, and then it creates this space where you become more curious and you want to know more. So I think it's a really a way for me, it was really a way to connect even more deeply with the divine, and know that I'm not alone, and I'm part of this big picture that I don't necessarily know and understand, but as I'm connecting, I'm understanding more and more. So it's just a process.
And how is it that you guide, with someone coming brand new into your work and into the cards? What is your advice for them in terms of what to expect for themselves coming in brand new? And should they be open, or should they have an intention? And what is your process in guiding them?
So I'm very much, everybody approaches the cards differently, and everybody has been taught maybe certain ways. For us, is really to build your intuition and to build your own support system in some ways, and really connect and make that it becomes a relationship. You're creating a relationship with the card, with each of the decks, and with having, let's say you wanted just one deck, they work independently, but you can work, they work beautifully as a team, because we feel like it's a family. It feels like that's why we call it the body of wisdom oracles, because it feels complete with the manifestor deck in terms of their journey. I would start with the I am deck, because I feel like we have to know where we are first before we can expand, and because then it helps us understand who we are, what our triggers are, how we see things, how we perceive the world, and that can play out, creating those shifts and just that awareness. Then you can become the best version of yourself. So, and then you can expand into the other, go deeper into your work. But I feel like the I am it's kind of like the foundational of, you need to know who you are before you can proceed, I think.
That's good advice. So looking at this image, and this comes from the manifestor deck, which I just got recently. You can see how incredible these images are, even though they're not blown up. Like, when you're looking at them in person, there's so much detail. And as you allow your mind to go into these images, you, at least speaking from my own experience, though, you become the image, you go very deeply into it. And then the kind of the feelings and the consciousness within all of those details brings a sense of, whether it's empowerment, whether it's balance, whether it's healing. Maybe there's some revelations that will come up. On the bottom, assuming that people are seeing this image the same way that I'm seeing it right now, the bottom right, the manifestation tree, right? Was I really felt that I was becoming the tree, because you can sense the roots on the bottom, you can sense the branches, you can sense the trunk, and into the leaves, which is almost like a feathery sort of experience in the outer ranges of that. And then you can also see a being within there, that that there's sort of the legs and the trunk and the arms. Quite amazing. On the bottom left and the top right, you can also see a sense of beings there. On the top right, it looks to me, there's a sense of an insect. I'm quite fascinated with insects, because they have such an ancient history of evolution. They are so resilient. They are so fertile. They are so adaptable. I find them to be just incredible. And so that, as you're going into that image, you can pick up those frequency of resilience and adaptability. On the bottom left, you can see that there are several beings. I guess we can't really quite enlarge the image.
No, I can't.
Enlarge it or not. but this is the sacred, that's a sacred committee, right?
Yes.
That was a very incredible experience for me. So if the listeners can see in the very middle of that image, there is a sense of a being there, which might be yourself. It could be a guide. It's going to, speak to you, I imagine, in whatever way it should, at for each person uniquely. And then on the sides there are some other sort of beings of support there. So it's kind of like a team, a team of guides. Extremely spiritual, very spiritual experience. And even within the colors and just within the depth of this image, it really does feel ancient, and it feels sacred, and it feels supportive and protective and peaceful. On the top left is the fairy godmother, which I really love, and I'm not sure, the details when you're seeing this card in person. There's so many details in here, but there's just a funky and delightful sort of face image on there that makes me smile so much. I can't help but smile when I'm with this card. And then there's another being sort of on kind of on near the top of the image. And it's whimsical, and it's so easy to connect with and really incredible. And in the middle is the integration pyramid, which is a support card that comes in the deck. And there's a number of support cards that come into the deck.
Yes, yeah, we were guided for the consciousness deck and for the manifestor deck, because it's deeper work. We were guided to add some support cards as you're doing your reading, so you feel very supported while you're doing your healing work. And so that's why they're here.
Cards, and also some cards, a 5-card spread. Guide card is in there. So the integration pyramid, it amplifies whatever it is that you're working with. You can choose any of the cards to work with the integration pyramid. Or in this case, I was integrating the 5, but you can also work with 1, right? And to sort of really amplify that experience. So this was an incredible session and spread that I had done on my own.
One other thing, while we have a few cards that are kind of a little bit more try to bring your smile to it, is because it's such deep work that we wanted to bring a little bit of lightness to it. So we have, the recipe card, and then we have the magic carpet, and then we have the fairy godmother, and then we have so it's we felt called to like the laughter card also, so that it just brings you back into this space of happiness and joy while you're doing this heavy lifting, or this heavy, because it was a dense, as we were creating it, the manifesto that was very dense. I mean, we were coming from the consciousness, and then we're coming to feet on the ground, and we were working on the most minuscule microbiome within the body. I mean, it was rough.
Well, but the end result is the upliftment.
Exactly.
Vibrations and the working and the healing, and that's the result of it.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to also create that movement within each card of that expansion. It's just you keep on expanding. So you can, one way to work also with each card is as you're doing your work, and as you're evolving, it's almost like you can pick a layer to work with. At the beginning you can pick with the first layer, but then you can pick and move into those extra layers outwards.
And I want to point out too that turning the cards upside down gives you a whole other depth and dimension, and even to each side.
Yes.
You know, so you can turn the cards all the way, you know, in different directions and continue to get an expanded experience.
Yes.
Really, really quite amazing. And so what else do you want our listeners to know in terms of their you know, their experience, or what they will be getting out of the cards?
So for me, the intention is, you know, as we mentioned, is really for you to work with the deck in placing your own intention of growth and curiosity and expansion and understanding of who you are. So it's through the self-awareness practices. It's really about the self-discovery process of you as having a human experience, but being that light spirit. So, you know, that light being. So the intention that really we place is for you to facilitate your own inner work and to put the power back in your own hands. So everyone is going to have a different experience. You know, I can't, in through the senses, I feel that you're going to learn a lot more if you allow yourself to get in touch with your clear senses as well. And it's about nurturing you, nurturing your being, nurturing your mindset, you know, because they can support you in just shifting just one card. Pull like some one of our users and curators, Jeananne, you know, she'll use the I am for the pick me up kind of thing, and then she'll use for deeper work, she'll use the other cards. And then if you work with each of them, they kind of tell you a story. So if you pull a card from each of the deck, then it becomes the story for you. And what I like to emphasize also is as you work with them so I've created a journal also to help you concentrate on one card. And it's just daily, just one card. And then as you're recording all your everyday cards, you know, from that, you can start seeing a theme. And then that theme is going to allow you to even bring you into even more awareness, but also give you the ability to shift, because now you're noticing this pattern, or you're noticing, you know, things that you didn't notice before, you didn't know about yourself before, but because of the messages, it's starting to make sense a little bit more, you know.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. I know you have a few more slides, but I do just want to say that Carole's cards are very unique. You will not find anything like these. These are the best card decks in the store. They're in some of the local stores, but they're also online. We'll share that with you in just a minute here. But show us the other images that you have here.
Oh, what happened? I don't know what happened. Sorry.
That's okay. Well, you can pull it back up again.
Can you see it?
No.
Okay, so I need to
Press on
share again. Yeah, it disappeared on me. Okay, so let's go back. One of the things that we talked about was the I never know what's going to show up. So, so this image, this first image on the left, which has this kind of owl coming into your face, was after it showed up after I held I was doing a module on the mindset of my entrepreneurial program, and we had called on different beings to help us. And this one just showed up because I usually do art also after like intense work, then I'll just go and relax and play with the artwork. So this image just came as so you can see almost like you have a face here, but then you have this beautiful owl here, or
yes. And it looks, and there it's somewhat feminine, but also and the energy of one that means business.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So it was perfect. It was a perfect representation of what had transpired in the module of because I work on mindset in the module. So it was really, I was kind of whoa, And then the dragon head was really like serendipity, and then the angel here, you can see the wings here, and then the head as if like in bowing to. So this was after meditation.
Oh my goodness.
So a lot of it is very abstract. Some of them is very abstract. So it's everybody's gonna see something different, maybe. So like if I show this, the first image of the owl, my daughter saw a stingray. First thing she saw the stingray. So depending of where you are, I mean, she loves marine life, so I'm not surprised she saw that, and I can see it. But for me, the owl was more prominent. So everybody's gonna have a different experience.
Right. And in the one with the dragon, I see the dragon very clearly. And I also see a predatory bird in there. With the claws.
Sure.
I see a lot of predatory birds here. I'm next to a bay, the Chesapeake Bay. And so I'm very tuned into them.
Right.
And I can see that in this one too.
Right. And I for me, usually when I'm intentionally trying to create something, I'll go for colors first, because I get a sense of the color that I want. And then the textures become something different. So then I'll play with the same set of colors, I'll play with different textures to kind of grab what I'm looking for.
Feel with the aqua and the black and the gold.
Yeah.
And look at, and again, just the differences, the contrast between these images. There's nothing resembling, they're so completely unique on their own, each one.
Right.
Incredible contrast there.
Yeah.
Do you have more images for us on the screen share?
No, I did not. That's about it.
All right. Well, so let us tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you. I want to say that you have a Facebook page, which is the Body of Wisdom Oracles. Is just
so that's the group. That's the group.
That's the name of the Facebook group.
Yes.
And you can go in there to see, and I posted reviews and others do. And what do you do in there, Carole? You do a little bit of readings and other kinds of things inside the group?
Yeah, so we do, of course, we do inspiration posts, but we also mostly do a lot of, Rosie does readings Monday through Friday, mini reading of one card. And then I also share some spreads to help you delve deeper, and kind of, those spreads can be journal prompts as well. So it is just for you to, continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper in getting to know yourself. So the group is the Body of Wisdom Oracle Circle. And then I have a Soulful Joyful Living page on Facebook as well. And my website is soulfuljoyfulliving.com, where there's a lot on that on the website. So you can also check the link tree, because then you'll have all the links to all the social media. We have the YouTube channel. I tried to develop that. So we started doing in July, we started doing Body of Wisdom Oracle Circle, in terms of, we create a spread and then you can come join us and we have a discussion. You bring your own decks and you don't have to have our decks, and you can bring your own decks, and then we share a spread, and then we have a discussion about what the messages are. And we have also started launching the blog, and then the YouTube, the blog video on YouTube that relates to the message of the month. So we started doing that. So we're getting a little bit out of our comfort zone in terms of that getting the words out.
I mean, really, within within these circles, definitely go in, because there's so much value within these groups, and you can really get a sense for the variety and just the immense kind of spreads, and hear what other people are talking about. And I definitely recommend going into the groups, signing up for the newsletter, and Linktree, as Carole said, is a great place to start, because all of your links will be on there.
Yes, yeah.
So are there any closing words that you would like to say, or just we're welcoming people into the groups, and anything else that you'd like to say, Carole?
I'm just grateful for being able to do this work, for my relationship with Spirit, with Rosie. We're a really good team, and I'm just grateful for being able to do this and really be connected in the way that I am. So, and also I encourage and I aspire others to get to know themselves, so then they can be there, show up at their best version, and really tap into the potentialities that we're not even aware of. So I'm looking forward to the next minute. I'm looking forward to the next month, because it's just where I'm at. And Soulful Joyful Living is not just kind of a business name, but it's what we embody to live every day. So this is kind of like a mantra that I inspire to do. So
inspiring, so inspiring. I just want to thank you, Carole, for sharing this time with us and sharing all of these images with us. And it's just always great to be with you. And we send warm blessings also to our listeners, and a wish, as Carole said, to have lots of fun as you all continue your explorations on your path of consciousness ahead. So we're going to sign off for now and say goodbye and many blessings, and we'll see you in the groups.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Thank you. Much love to you.
Much love to you too. Bye, everyone.
Bye.